Okay, we're going to go ahead and call the full board meeting to order. Just as we get started, Kay, would you give a roll call vote of attendance? Roll call attendance, I guess.
Fleming. Geist.
Here.
Harper.
Here.
Rose.
Here.
Sigardi.
Here.
Stites.
Here.
Allard.
Here.
Van Hooser. Wilmore.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
8 members present, sir.
Thank you, Secretary. So to start off our meeting, and I think this always is very, very important just to get our minds right, is to have something that is student-centric to remind us of exactly what we're here for. So we have a special presentation this morning, and forgive me for reading, but I'll get this wrong if I don't. But anyway, the board is pleased to continue the tradition of celebrating champions that represent the highest levels of achievement at our university. We applaud our women's track and field team, our tennis team for winning the OVC championships. And today we recognize members of our top 10 nationally ranked baseball team. This special team won its NCAA regional and advanced to within one win of the College World Series. A record number of 8 players were selected in the 2018 Major League Baseball draft. Head coach Justin Holmes now leads Tech's baseball program. Coach Holmes, please introduce your players with you and give us a summary of your thoughts about the season. And we're honored to have you here.
Wow. Thank you. I'm still getting used to that head coach Holmes title. It's awesome. Listen. I'm humbled to be here, and I understand how important this is, not just to win ball games, but I think we all know in here what is the ultimate purpose of any sports team at this university. I would say first and foremost to make sure that these young men get a quality education and that they can go out into the world and they can be a positive and impactful member of society. And I know that might sound like pie in the sky to people, but I believe that in my heart. I love rings and championships, but if I can look back on this and I know that I've helped some guys build some skills that are going to help them succeed and help make the world a better place, even in whatever way they can, that's truly what a championship is. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, and I do not take this responsibility lightly, and I thank every single one of you for believing in me to be able to do that. I think the second thing, and we know this, bring notoriety to this fantastic university. That's ultimately what we're supposed to do through winning, through sportsmanship, all those things. And I tell you what, you know who does that part? These guys. Because practice is for coaches. But the game, that's where the players shine, man. That's their time. And if we can get them ready to go out there, that's our job. But when it comes to throwing that pitch and getting that hit, the boys got to do it, man. And they showed an incredible amount of courage and fortitude to be able to go in some places that we were just talking about it, very hostile. But you know what? You know what happened when we came out? We weren't the villains. We were those people's heroes because they looked at these young men and they said, yes, we were hard on them. Yes, it was a very contentious series, but you know what? We have respect for them. And I think that is truly the trophy and the championship that they can hold up for the rest of their lives, is that from some very passionate fan bases with a lot of money, and they're really loud, and the stadiums are big, but at the end of the day, you know who they're going to be talking about 10 years from now? Remember that team from Cookeville? Boy, those boys played hard. And that's why I'm so proud of these guys. And I look forward to going into the future, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make this community, this university proud. You're going to be able to look to our program, and you're going to know that we're putting out quality individuals into the community and into society, and we're going to win championships too. Don't you worry about that. Okay, so thank you. Now, the 2 guys I brought, they're both pitchers because that's where it starts. We get a lot of notoriety. We get a lot of publicity for the home runs that we hit, and I love home runs. But pitching wins championships. And today I brought with me Colton Provey. He was a 5th-year senior. He just graduated. I believe you got your master's degree or you're close to getting it, so I'm proud of Colton. And Devin Lancaster, he's going to be a junior. So somebody graduating and moving on, it's somebody that will be back. And you know what? I haven't prompted them on what to say. All I said was come up here and speak from the heart. So you know what, Colton? Why don't you get us started right here, man?
First and foremost, I just want to thank everyone for this wonderful opportunity to be a guy that was going to be a 5th-year transfer and to come to Tennessee Tech, where my sister attended, graduate of '08. It's a really blessing, and figured I was here for 1 year. I might as well make the most of it. I think we had a pretty good run. Brought a lot of excitement to the area, and just thankful for literally everything from the administration, the coaching staff, the team. I think it was I think it was really special to be a part of this big building block. Not only is making Tennessee Tech the standard of OVC baseball, but pushing that forward and, you know, moving it to the national scale and continuing to grow the university and the program. So I just want to thank all you for this time.
Thank you.
How are y'all? I just want to thank y'all for, you know, everything you did for us as a team last year, and thank y'all for making Coach Holmes our head coach, you know, an in-house guy. I think he's going to be real good to everybody in the program. We're going to continue to grow and make Tennessee Tech, you know, more of a household name for everybody to know that, like, this year just wasn't like a Cinderella team, that we're a good program. We're going to continue to be a good program. So I just want to thank all y'all for that.
Coach Holmes, thank you so much for those words, and it was inspiring. And, you know, just hearing you speak, there's no doubt in my mind that you're the right man for the job.
I appreciate that, but I'll be cliche here, and I'll tell you this in closing, all right? Like, that is inspiring, and you can be inspiring, and you can have a game plan, and you can practice well, but if you don't have people around you, if you don't have these boys around you that are willing to dream and shoot for things that other people tell them are impossible, you have nothing. And so I am like every other coach. You know, I stand on their shoulders. And so I thank my players, my future players, the past players, everything like that, because they are the ones that truly bring us greatness. And that's what this is about, whether you're in academics, you're in athletics, about the students, making sure they have a great experience. And this is my third institution right here, and I'm telling you right now, they are having the best experience of any institution that I've been to, and that goes everything in here from teachers, professors, to tutors, to coaches, to the athletic department staff, to the people who are making their food in the cafeteria. My guys thoroughly enjoy being a part of this university, and I thank everyone from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Very well said. Coach Holmes, one last thing. You know, if this afternoon meeting goes well, I'm going to ask you to come back for the next board meeting and talk to us again. So, yeah, before we start. That's all we need. So we have one other thing. The board also welcomes Ashley Wheeler. Ashley represents a team that won first place in Tech's latest EagleWorks competition for entrepreneurs. More importantly, the team is now in the early stages of forming a medical device startup company. The team's goal is to bring its Metaflex therapy glove to market. Ashley, please share more with us about your experience.
Hi, so I'm I'm Ashley Wheeler, and I'm 1/3 of this team. My project partners have internships that they're involved in this summer, so they couldn't be here. But so we are the co-creators of the Metaflex therapy glove, which I have here and I'm going to pass around. And we designed this on a clinical immersion research trip to Cuba last summer with Dr. Geist and Dr. Sanders from the chemical engineering department. And it kind of epitomizes one of the themes of my education, because I just graduated this past May. And one of the biggest themes that I experienced was interdisciplinary cooperation. So a lot of times we expect engineers to kind of fit in their own little box, and they just stay there and they stay in their corner of the campus and they don't venture out of it. Our curriculum and the classes that were offered to us, such as clinical immersion, where we got to interact with nursing students, which is unconventional, was so impactful to us because we got to see so many different perspectives and so many different methods of problem solving in our education. So we got to work with biomedical engineers in Cuba and nursing students from the US and come up with a solution that evidently no one's thought of before because they let us file a patent for it. So we're in the process of filing a patent, and we just filed a trademark for the Metaflex therapy glove. So we're very excited about moving forward. But our success in the EagleWorks competition was only possible because of the incredible staff at this university. The way that all the staff cooperates with any student who wants help or needs help is incredible to me. So we work not only with our engineering professors and with Dr. Geist and our clinical immersion professors, but I am currently the seamstress for our operation. I had never made a glove before this operation, so I went and talked to Dr. Uphold from the Fashion and Merchandising Department, and she spent a couple hours with me talking about how to pattern a glove, and then we had to write a business plan. I've never written a business plan, I'm an engineer. And we got so much instruction and help on how to do that. I went to the finance department and talked to Dr. Davis about how to do projections. And I'm just thoroughly impressed by the cooperation and the willingness of every faculty at this university. And I just want to thank you guys for that.
Ashley, thank you. That was inspiring.
Thank you.
And thank you all for representing the student body here so well and putting us in the right frame of mind for what we have to do.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yes.
I just have Karen, both Coach Holmes and Ashley's talks would be great to capture on video for PR. They are the spirit and the heart of Tennessee Tech.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask one question. I'm not an engineer. What is this glove used for?
So the bands on the back of it that are adjustable with Velcro, they provide resistance against the fingers, because a lot of times arthritis patients, it's used for arthritis treatment.
Oh,
And a lot of arthritis patients have trouble opening their hands, so this provides resistance that helps to open the hand. And then when you do any of your daily activities where you flex your hand muscles, it provides resistance that helps you to strengthen those muscles and helps to lessen the pain of arthritis.
I wish you could come up with a golf glove that would help my game.
We'll work on it.
I bet she could. I'm in the business community, and the thing I hear most today is we can't find good people to fill the spots that we have. I hear it all the time. I'm glad that you're not going to be part of that problem, nor will these
Thank
guys.
you.
They're going to go out there and do a great job for the opportunities that are placed before them. And thank you, Ashley, and thank you guys for coming here and sharing with us part of our success as a school.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck to you. Okay, shall we continue on with our meeting? The first item of business is item number 2, the approval of the minutes. So the minutes are all available in the board book, and we have the full board here. Can we have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
So we have a motion to accept the minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Trudy made a second. So any comments? No other suggestions? All in favor of accepting the minutes as they are signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimous. So we're ready for item number 3, President's Report. Dr. Oldham.
Well, good afternoon to everyone. This is it's an exciting time to be on campus, and it's always thrilling to have the Board of Trustees with us, and I'm honored and privileged to give this report to you today. A lot of good things happening. It's hard to follow what we just heard, obviously, but it's great examples of what the essence of this institution is all about and why we're all here. It's about those students, and it's good to hear those stories. I'll give you a couple quick headlines here as I get into this report, and then I want to focus on a couple things, focus on the legislative session that we just concluded, and then talk some about the new strategic plan that you have before you later in this meeting. But a few quick headlines. We have had a second record year of graduates from Tennessee Tech, posting over 2,500 graduates this past year. The numbers, I think, are still not finalized, so I don't have an exact number, but I know it's exceeded 2,500. In fact, I just received a text a few minutes ago from Mike Krause, Executive Director of THEC, congratulating us on another record year in terms of graduate production. So it's being noticed around the state. And again, that's what the state wants from us, ultimately, is to produce graduates that go on, Trustee Stykes, like you indicated, to successful careers. And so excited about that. You saw previously in the Provost report about the Tech Chorale performing at Carnegie Hall this spring since our last board meeting. and they continue to do an outstanding job. You also saw a report of our faculty and students being given the opportunity to name a Martian crater. That's not something you hear about every day. And then, you know, as we just heard, we could talk baseball, I think, for the rest of the afternoon, and the incredible journey that that team has taken us over this past year. And it really goes back beyond this year. We've had a pretty remarkable baseball program for a number of years, extremely successful. But I think this year in particular, it really captured the imagination of all of us and has inspired us all to realize what potential resides on this campus. That despite resource limitations in some cases, or lack of identity, lack of much publicity, that we can compete and be successful against anybody, anywhere. And that team has showed us this repeatedly this year. So it's a great inspiration. Let me talk a little bit about the legislative update. There's a very successful legislative session for Tennessee Tech. It's sort of the culmination of the last several years of effort on our part with legislative leaders, and I can't say enough good things about our local legislative representatives, Ryan Williams and Senator Paul Bailey, tremendous voices on our behalf in Nashville, but we continue to have great relationships with legislative and other leaders in state government, including the Office of the Governor, and continue to get a lot of their support. That has culminated this year, this session, into more than $13 million of additional resources coming to Tennessee Tech. A significantly banner year. About roughly half of that is recurring funding, and the other half is one-time money. It's highlighted by $3 million of recurring funds for Tennessee Tech's College of Engineering. And again, that's a multi-year effort that's been going on, and we're excited that has finally come to fruition. And as I indicated previously, we're working with the College of Engineering and the provost to see how best to invest those dollars long-term for the benefit of the college and the university. We also received another $1.3 million in outcome-based funding from the Complete College Act formula. We were the top performing institution, the locally governed institutions, previously TBR institutions, this past year, so we received a significantly larger share than in previous years. Also receiving an additional $700,000 of recurring money for the Carnegie classification adjustment that was made just a few years ago. $500,000 of, this is year 2 of a 4-year commitment from the state. Another $500,000 for our cybersecurity education and research program that we're excited about and trying to invest in more fully. An increase in the salary pool, as we have discussed previously, 2.5% salary pool increase, and then about $6.3 million of facilities maintenance dollars. That's about roughly double the normal distribution of maintenance dollars, capital maintenance dollars that we would get from the state, and so we put that into good use for maintaining our infrastructure on campus. A few other big picture items. I'm happy that we're able to provide this year, excited about another 2.5% general salary increase for the campus. It's based on performance. That's the 7th consecutive budget cycle that we will have had with salary increases. It's not all, very few institutions actually in the country can claim that kind of string of improvement in salaries, and we're excited about that. And we continue to be committed to increasing the salaries of all employees, faculty and staff at the institution. And that's along with a tuition increase that I think is the lowest tuition increase in over 10 years to Tennessee Tech. So we continue to move the needle to make sure that we maintain affordability for students while at the same time providing an aggressive compensation plan for our employees. Enrollment expectations, despite the fact that we are graduating record numbers of students, obviously that creates a gap that we have to fill. We have to bring in more students, and we put a lot of effort this past year, really the last 2 years, into increasing our ground game on recruiting and moving enrollment in a positive direction. This freshman class appears to be very strong. In fact, it may very well be our largest freshman class since 2013. So we're excited about that. The numbers are still preliminary, but the orientation sessions have been full. In fact, we've had to open up additional orientation sessions to accommodate the interest, and we're excited about that. And we'll have final numbers for you during the September meeting. But we look forward to a large freshman class, and that will be 2 years in a row that we've had probably double-digit percentage increases in freshmen. The restructuring, organizational restructuring that was approved by the board earlier this past year have allowed us to move forward very aggressively. We were able to attract strong leadership, clearly in the provost position with Dr. Lori Bruce joining us, and the restructuring of enrollment management and career placement has allowed us to attract another strong leader, Dr. Brandon Johnson, to lead that effort and that enterprise, and he's off to a great start. Adding the chief of staff to the president's office, Mr. Lee Ray has been an incredible asset in terms of the overall management of the institution and ability to get things accomplished in a timely way, and appreciate that. We've also had restructured for planning and finance to take over the information technology services division and to provide increased and improved services to the campus, and that's gone extremely well also. And then finally, on the restructuring piece, the communication and marketing division led by Ms. Karen Likens was strategically relocated as a direct report to the president's office, and that has allowed us to move forward very aggressively with a much more comprehensive marketing and branding campaign across the entire state that I'll talk a little bit more about in just a minute. As part of that branding campaign, we've been going through a Tech is Tennessee tour, intending to visit all 95 counties in the state of Tennessee. To date, we have visited 16 counties. We've covered all the 14 Upper Cumberland counties, along with Rutherford County. Yeah, that's the home of MTSU. And actually, I was invited to speak to their. I visited not only the Chamber of Commerce in Rutherford County, but I was invited to speak at their at the Rutherford County School Board one evening, which is interesting. But great opportunity, and had great visits with high schools. We visited approximately 25 high schools in those 16 counties. Met with over 100 educators, guidance counselors, teachers, principals, school directors, and I've had an opportunity to speak to 700 or so students, high school students, predominantly, about their futures and their opportunities, and obviously to encourage them to take a close look at Tennessee Tech, but in general to encourage them to dream big dreams and reach for those aspirations. So that's gone exceptionally well. We will continue that tour through the as long as it takes to get to all 95 counties at least, and hope for even more success. We learn a lot in those visits. We hear a lot of wonderful things, but we also get some great lessons and great suggestions from teachers and students, and helps us keep in tune with what their needs are. I would like to turn my attention now. We've talked about flight plan a little bit. As we look at strategic planning going forward, it's important for us to take a moment to review where we've been. Flight plan was a strategic plan of sorts. It's kind of a guideline for us. It was developed about 5 years ago when I arrived on campus. The goal there was really about incremental improvement. It was about how to take this fine institution and improve it to be best in class. And we've seen some incredible success with that. And I'll highlight a few of these things right now. In terms all that plan really was focused on student success predominantly. And so here's some numbers that you can kind of say we put a lot of investment into advising on campus. Student success centers hired a lot of additional advisors for students. Increased participation in service learning activities, and improved technology infrastructure on campus. All of that has resulted in pretty significant improvements in retention rates, student retention rates, about close to 10 percentage points in first-year retention alone over that time period. It's also improved graduation rates, although we generally, nationally, you track 6-year graduation rates, so this plan has only been in effect for 5 years, so it's still too soon, believe it or not, to tell if you've impacted the 6-year graduation rates. But we've seen significant improvements in the 3, 4, and 5-year graduation rates to date, which indicate significant success. We also have seen a significant amount of improvement in infrastructure on campus. Right now, I mean, you can walk around campus. I think we got about 8 construction fences on campus going on now, several cranes. All that amounts to about $180 million in new construction projects and renovations currently going on campus. All of that is directed toward ultimate student success, improvement of the student experience. Every project, the first thing that we talk about is, what's in it for the student? How's this going to benefit that student experience? And so, regardless of the project, that's the focus. We continue to expand financial resources. The additional state support over this time period has been extremely welcome. We continue to push fundraising, private fundraising as well. We are now close to the $52 million mark in our comprehensive campaign, Tennessee Tech Tomorrow campaign, in gifts and pledges of a $60 million goal. And we have about 3 more years to go in that campaign. So there's no question we're going to surpass the goal. We will probably pass the $60 million goal this next fiscal year, and then transition to more specific fundraising projects that have yet to be fully funded. We've continued to expand multidisciplinary research and innovation on this campus. I think we've begun, if not successfully entrenched ourselves as a place of innovation, known for innovation. And you've seen some great examples of that, just a little bit earlier. It's more than just students. It's a part of the culture here, I think, now, that innovation is what we do and what we're known for. And I think that maybe this slide kind of summarizes the entire picture, and this is where we want to be as an institution. Considered that great value, the great return on investment for higher education. It's not about necessarily being the cheapest institution around. We absolutely want to be affordable, but ultimately it's about that value proposition for those students, that they leave here with something of great value and ultimately pays back multiple times of what their time and cost was to attend Tennessee Tech. So now we turn our attention to the next phase with a new Board of Trustees and a great time to transition from flight plan into the next strategic agenda. Tech Tomorrow strategic plan, as you were able to get a look at the March board meeting, is now ready for your full review and approval. And that's what we're going to be asking you for in just a few minutes, is approval of this plan to go forward. I'll give you a glimpse right now before we get into the full plan in a few minutes, give you a glimpse of how we intend to implement this plan. And we've spent some time since March, since our last board meeting, talking about, these are great ideas, how are we going to actually make it work? Okay, the structure that has been developed is to have a steering committee. It's laid out here in this purple box that would facilitate all that strategic progress and ensure accountability at the highest levels. They would work with the priority action groups in those 4 boxes below that are laid out, and it's highlighted a little bit more here. Those action groups in the priority areas of education for life, innovation in all we do, exceptional stewardship, and engagement for impact, they would all be positioned with members, predominantly faculty members, 6 or 7 faculty members. We also want to include members of the broader community in some cases to make sure that we've got some external voices and perspectives involved in these as well. But they would be primarily involved in designing the full implementation plan within their areas. We intend to have metrics that we would track both at the high level overall plan, as well as each one of these working groups would be challenged to develop their own set of metrics to gauge how successful they are doing in that particular action area. Some of the proposed Tech Tomorrow metrics are outlined here on this slide. They're not finalized yet, but I wanted to give you a feel for the kinds of things that we're talking about. Again, a lot of these things are relatively different. This plan is not about necessarily comparing ourselves to anybody else other than what our aspirations are. In fact, in a lot of cases, we're going to be stepping off the grid and going beyond what other institutions may have done previously. And so some of the traditional metrics that you might be inclined to utilize and be readily available don't really fit because nobody else has really done this. And that, for me, that's the exciting thing about this. That's the space where we want to be. We want to be in a position where future students say, I want to go to Tennessee Tech because I can't see that anywhere else. I can't find that element at any other institution. And that's what we want to try to capture in this strategic plan. So we'll certainly look at new degree options. We'll certainly look at enrollment growth. We're going to challenge ourselves. We will continue to track 6-year graduation rates because that's the national standard. But if we're not challenging ourselves to graduate students in 4 years, or even less in some cases, then we're not doing our job. So we're gonna put a lot of pressure on improving our 4-year graduation rates. Research expenditures, we've got to continue to push and do a better job in that area. The student debt issue, that's a national issue that we've got to continue to address and make sure that we maintain our affordability, make sure that we continue to be accessible to students, and that when they leave our institution, they're not saddled with an excessive amount of unnecessary debt. So we'll continue to work on that. But you can see down the line, ultimately, it's probably those last two that become the most important in terms of that return on investment. What are the careers like of these individuals that we graduate? As Tom has indicated previously, our customer is also our product. So how good is that product when they leave here? And it's not just starting salaries. We know that our students compete very well for high starting salaries, but what does it look like mid-career? Is the education that we're providing these students, is it lasting? Does it help them throughout their career? And are we in a position to continue to help them at all? This is a challenge because these data are not always easy to get. Okay, it's harder to track. Graduates, like the rest of our society, they're very mobile. They can move around a lot. They can change jobs frequently. And so tracking these is a challenge, but it's one that we need to address and try to find answers to. So we're excited about that. Ultimately, I think it's maybe Trustee Stites asked this question at the last meeting. If we do this strategic plan, what does tech look like in 10 years? And that's a great question that I think we need to have answers to. One is we need to be the most innovative and responsive university in the country, if possible, certainly the region. And we need to be known for that. That we are creative, we're innovative, and we respond to the needs of those students. That we're real. We provide a real education for real people who want a real career. It's tangible. It means something in practical terms. Okay? That we like to win. And again, baseball, I think, has pointed us in the right direction. It's a lot more fun when you win, but they also taught us that it takes a lot of hard work to win and win consistently. It's not just showing up for the game. It's a lot of practice time that makes that possible. Distinctive. We want to be different. We're not shooting to be like somebody else. We're going to be different, and we're going to be the best Tennessee Tech possible. And differentiated, again, gets to the point of how distinctive we are within the marketplace of higher education. So that summarizes my report, I think, for today. It's been a challenging year at times. It's been a very productive year overall. I appreciate all the great successes that have been accomplished on this campus, and I continue to be extremely honored to serve as president. I'll be happy to answer any questions here, and then particularly when it comes to the strategic plan, we'll segue into the next action item on the board agenda. But I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Just a real quick question about all the construction we're doing now, looking forward to the future like you just mentioned. What about enrollment? What do we see our capability for on-campus enrollment to be 5 years from now?
Yeah, the campus master plan in 2014 was actually developed with a 15,000 student enrollment projection. And at the time, that was a 15,000 over a 10-year period. That was the expectation, and we were pretty much on track to get there at that time. Obviously, that was before Tennessee Promise went into effect. There were some other external circumstances that were not within our control that impacted that. So it sort of knocked us back 2 or 3 years, but I think we're beginning to pick that steam back up. So I think we could, and that's something I want to do this next year, is actually get to a more in-depth enrollment projection and plan to get there. But I think a 10-year plan to get us to 15,000 students is doable. I think it's it's somewhat aspirational, but I think it's a very doable concept, and we'll try to put some skin around that and bring that back to you.
Should I move on into the strategic plan?
Absolutely. Oops. Is that loaded? There we go. Is that it? Let me go ahead and talk about it while he's getting it loaded. The Tech Tomorrow strategic plan, as was reported to you in March, has been developed with a significant group of faculty and staff on campus over the past year. That's been chaired by Dean Lisa Zagumny and Dean Tom Payne, both of which are with us today, so they can address any specific questions you might have about the process or specific things that have come up during those discussions. I think over 700 faculty and staff were communicated with in terms of ideas and thoughts. A lot of open meetings, town hall meetings, small group sessions with departments and colleges, that have led to this overall plan being developed. And again, my charge to the committee was really pretty simple. We want to be different. We want to stand out in the marketplace, and if the plan came back and didn't scare us a little bit, then it probably wasn't bold enough. We need to challenge ourselves to go beyond the norm, and I think they've done a fantastic job with this. Yeah, that was it, wasn't it? As I indicated, 4 areas of action, education for life, innovation in all we do, exceptional stewardship, and the last one is engagement for impact. So I think they've incorporated all those suggestions and ideas. They've got the best ideas on the table for conversation and discussion. And now we're in the process of putting together those working groups that are going to actively implement this plan over the next 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. And it will continue to evolve. I mean, there's nothing here that's cut in stone to the point where it can't be modified or changed as we get into this and learn more and understand more and decide what's doable, what's not, and where the limiting factors are. But this is exciting. It's an exciting transition point for Tennessee Tech, and look forward to seeing where this can lead us into the future. I appreciate their leadership in getting us here. So I guess I'd pause it. Yep. Sure. Okay. There is two changes here that do need board approval. One is the mission statement. I think it's a significantly improved mission statement over what we had previously, which was an extremely lengthy statement of mission. This is much more succinct and I think to the point. And then the vision statement that was developed by the there's both mission and vision. I'm not sure if you can read that very well. They're the core principles of the strategic plan. You can see it's all student-centered. Let me go on down here. Thought we had. Maybe we don't. Let me go back. Yeah, it's in the board book. I know the mission statement is pulled out. So you can read it for yourself. I think it does a good job of encapsulating it. No, it's fine. It's fine. Thank you. But yeah, we will need board approval for the new mission statement. And then THEC requires us to submit a mission profile annually to them. It's similar but different statement. It incorporates some of the mission statement into it, but it's more descriptive in terms of the institutional profile. And so that mission profile it needs to be updated every year because those numbers and details may change slightly. You wouldn't want to change your mission statement annually. So we need to approve both of those.
So let's go ahead and I'll call for a motion for the board to adopt or approve the strategic plan and the mission statement as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I move the board approve the strategic plan and the mission statement as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Perna. So is there any other comments on the?
I have one question.
Yes.
And it's just really a question. When we call ourselves Tennessee's Technological University, it sort of implies, there's one and it's us. That I just brought that up because if I were UT, I might be a little bit sensitive to that. So in the mission statement,
is that a bad thing?
But we're not UT,
well,
so we're not sensitive
well,
to it.
I'm on a UT advisory board, so I felt
Sorry about
compelled.
that.
But and you have been too. I guess I like this mission profile intro, founded as Tennessee's Technological University, Tennessee Tech Grad. Just saying. Thank you.
I had a comment, and that is I want to thank Dean Payne and Dean Zagumny. I'm sorry, I blanked, for all your hard work on this. In the early days of this, I was asked to speak to some group on campus about this strategic planning process, and I outlined all these meetings they were going to hold. And I remember thinking, oh, they ain't going away. It's really hard. And they brought us forward a really tremendous piece of work. And I just want to thank them. I know we have a motion on the table, but just a tremendous amount of work and a really, really nice product. Very, very well done.
Well done. Just as a general comment, I mean, the name of the university is Tennessee Technological University, so to state Tennessee's Technological University does not bother me at all.
It doesn't have to bother you, Tom. You asked for comments and I gave them.
Fair enough. Any other comments?
I'd like to speak to the 4 items that you mentioned about distinctiveness and If we're going to be distinctive from anybody else, that really puts a lot of pressure on branding
Does.
and messaging to people who don't see us that way. It also means that as we're developing all these new structures, we're going to have to follow up with enough maintenance dollars to maintain those structures. And that's millions of dollars just on the 2 new buildings we've got right now, to be able to maintenance those buildings. So I'm wondering if we have enough people in Karen Lykin's group to be able to do that, and if we have enough people in the alumni capital campaign organization with Kevin and his group to bring in enough money to pay for this stuff, because the state's proven they're not going to give us enough money for maintenance. So we're either going to have to pay that money out of resources that could go to faculty salaries or other expenses, or we're going to have an endowment that's going to help us do that. And I appreciate your attention to the endowment, but I wonder if we should ramp that up with more people going to see more givers to get a bigger endowment faster than what we currently are doing. Can you speak to those 2 issues?
Yes, yeah, on both counts, Trustee Stites, you're exactly right. I mean, we will continue to have to ramp up our efforts in both of those areas. I'm very proud of the fact that both those areas are functioning exceptionally well now, and I think the results speak for themselves. But as time goes on and resources become more available, we've got to continue to invest in those areas so that we can do even more and quicker. The area, I think that the team did a really smart thing here with this one area of emphasis, the exceptional stewardship arena. A lot of the focus of that and a lot of the work that Dr. Stinson and her staff are going to be doing this next year in particular is looking at how we can more effectively utilize existing resources on campus to go into strategic areas such as this. So it's not an either-or proposition in terms of, I mean, it's going to be a combination of new resources in some cases where we can find them, but it's also going to be looking at existing resources and how to invest those more strategically toward a greater return on investment internally. So it's all of the above.
The reason it's a concern to me is on other 2 other higher education groups that I've been, the staff, faculty paint a picture of the growth of the university like this, but it's actually like this.
You're right.
And I don't know if you can stop that, but you might be able to minimize the, if we're going to be down this year, we were up last year, we were up the year before that, we're going to be down this coming year. We don't know if it's going to go up or down the next 2 or 3 years. But if we're going to reach these goals, somehow we have to address that, and we have to really get that message out that this is a unique university with an absolutely profound faculty that's creating awesome students that employers are identifying all over the nation and hiring and finding them to be just that.
Johnny, I think the beauty of this strategic plan, the mission and the vision, is it's not incremental. It's materially different from before, and they're reaching for something that we haven't thought of before. Once you do something like that, not only is the student body going to aspire to that, but the alumni will all rally behind it, because we're looking for something very different.
I agree with you 100%,
And
but
so
the
I'm so glad we're
message
doing this.
has to get out to the alumni.
Absolutely.
Because all they know is what they saw when they were here.
Yeah.
And we're aspiring to be a different university, so there's somehow we have to get that message out there to them and to the employers and the prospective students, all of which will make a difference in the future of this university.
I think that's well said, but I mean, to me, this is the first step. It's defining that mission statement and having the strategic plan. And you know, when we first started this process, and I told you directly, Dr. Oldham, that what's most important to me is for you to establish a vision and a goal, you know, a direction for this university.
Right.
And I see you doing that through this strategic plan. So, yeah, there's a lot of details we have to get through to get there.
Well,
But you have to start.
Yeah, and Johnny, to your point, just the recent experience we've had, well, just take this legislative session and the success we had there. Like I said, most of that work started at least 3 or 4 years ago. And quite honestly, what has enabled that is there are people now in the state that are looking at us differently, and mostly because we have been there. We have continually put in the face time with those individuals to preach this message and make every effort to live up to that expectation. And they're listening, they're paying attention, and I think they were willing to invest in us because they saw that level of commitment. And it's going to be the same thing with this strategic plan. It's going to take institutional will and commitment on the part of everybody to continually get out there and teach that message and show what good is happening here. And it will work, I have no doubt.
Okay.
And the beauty is this, Johnny. If we actually accomplish and move on this path, we will be Tennessee's only technological university.
Yeah.
Okay.
UT got $90 million last year for engineering. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. I'm going to call a question. So I think we can just do a voice vote on this one.
And repeat the motion, please.
I don't,
I can repeat it if you'd like.
please.
I moved that the board approve the mission, excuse me, I'm on the wrong page. I moved that the board approve the strategic plan and the mission statement as approved.
That's pretty.
As presented, excuse me.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, the next point, and this goes along with what you were already talking about, Dr. Oldham, the mission profile.
Oh,
still
got to do that one, that's right.
You spoke about it briefly. I don't know if you want to speak some more or just go ahead and call for a motion.
I don't know if I have much more to say. If you have any questions about the mission profile, I'll be glad to answer it. But this is a requirement the state has through the Tennessee Higher Education Commission for us to file this annually, and so we just need board approval to submit that.
So like- go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I move the board approve the mission profile as presented and that it be submitted to THEC.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further comment? I'll call the question. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
And I think you have one more administrative matter on this one. Dr. Oldham, you may want to stay up there for this.
Okay.
My understanding is that we want to, rather than bringing this back to the board every year, if there's not substantive changes, I think
Any editorial changes,
Any
we would
edit-
just take care of with board
right,
approval.
and updating the data and all of that in this mission profile. The board, as I understand it again, can only delegate to the president. Thanks, Dr. Fleming, she got us straight on that. But I think it's my theory, and I believe yours, Tom, just based on what I've heard through everybody else, that we want to try to delegate that authority. So I'm going to make a motion, and then you can do with it whatever you want. I move the board delegate authority on a continuing basis to the president to make technical changes to the mission profile and to submit it and the mission statement annually to THEC on behalf of the board.
So we have a motion made. Do we have a second?
Second.
So we have a motion made and seconded. You know, one comment about this is that this is not, I mean, to me, I don't want to minimize THEC, but it's a little bit of a housekeeping issue that we're required to do for THEC. But our mission statement, our strategic plan is still our own. And that's why I don't have any problem with delegating that authority to the president to
That's
manage
right.
that.
That's right.
So,
I hate to say this, but the mission statement is sort of the heart of the university. So to me, it seems like that should be approved by the board. I know
We
you don't
already,
agree
we
with
already
me,
did
Tommy.
it. We did it.
The mission
approved it.
statement was approved just
But now we're just
previously.
saying, change it any way you want.
No,
to.
no,
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 no.
this
Two
is-
different, they're two different documents.
Oh, we're not saying the mission statement.
No, the
Just
mission,
mission profile.
Mission
Well,
profile.
The motion says mission statement and mission profile.
read ahead.
Well, so let me back up. No, Barbara's right. We approved a mission profile.
Sorry, Tom.
We approved a mission profile. We first approved a mission
Mhm.
statement, then we approved a mission profile.
Mhm.
Now my motion only covers the mission profile.
Okay, so the error is in the written copy that we've got. In that case, I'm absolutely fine with that.
The
Ours-
written copy I have.
In the board books,
It says mission
Right.
statement as
in the-
well as
oh, in the-
mission profile.
In the board book,
Okay.
okay, sorry.
Yeah.
The hard copy that you have should only say
It,
profile.
the hard copy I have, actually I printed out from the thing, so it
Never
says,
mind.
still
Okay.
says statement. So yeah,
Gotcha.
mission profile is totally different.
That's all
Mission
we're-
statement's the heart of the university, and that should
But
go through the
Barbara,
board.
we're also saying, I thought I also heard that it's editorial.
Only to the
given-
profile, though.
Technical, but
Yeah.
we're still
Just do
saying profile. Frankly, I don't care. The profile is taking the statement and filling it
Yeah.
in. Please do that.
Yeah.
Or whoever wants to do it, please do it. But the mission statement
Understand.
is very different. But she
Understand.
just corrected this, so I'm set.
Yeah, so
Just-
my
just-
motion only applies to the profile.
Let's-
That's a very good clarification. Okay, good.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded, but Trudy, for the sake of clarity, please
Sure, let me
restate
read
your
it one more
motion.
time. I have moved the board delegate authority on a continuing basis to the president to make technical changes to the mission profile and to submit it and the mission statement annually to THEC on behalf of the board. So just to clarify, he can make changes to the profile, but he can't make changes to the statement. He can submit the statement and make changes to the profile.
That's correct. Thank you.
But that was a good
Very
clarification.
And in reality, he would do a great job of that. But I think
But it's
as a
not his job.
board,
Now, let me just say, I would never change the mission statement unilaterally, never. So,
Well, hopefully a president wouldn't change the mission profile unilaterally either.
well, the mission
Yeah,
pro.
I mean, I know they're just talking about technical
No,
changes, but.
Yeah, it's, we're talking, updating,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
quite honestly, staff would be doing.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that either, but.
Okay, I'm going to call the question. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Holmes. Okay, we're ready for item number 5, the Executive Committee report, and there's really no actions here except just a few things to report for the board. The Executive Committee has basically been put in charge or is responsible for the annual evaluation of the president, and I need to report at our last Executive Committee meeting, we did several things. One important thing is that we appointed Trudy Harper as the Executive Committee representative to oversee that presidential evaluation process. We also adopted a timeline for all of the activities associated with that presidential evaluation. We also adopted a set of questions to be presented to the board for our evaluation of the president, and we adopted a set of questions for the administrative staff, or the cabinet, for their part of the evaluation. So all of those things are in process, and I don't know, Trudy, you want to make any other comments since you're sort of in charge of the process?
I don't have a single thing to add to that.
Okay, all right.
You all did a good job.
Thank you. Okay, so we're moving on to the Academic and Student Affairs Committee report and recommendations. So Barbara, I guess the first thing up is the consent agenda associated with the Academic and Student Affairs Committee. So I want to make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Sure, and just so people know, there was plenty of discussion about both of those, but we had policy 258 prior learning and 268 honorary degrees. And so upon the committee's recommendation, I move that the board approve all the items that were on our consent agenda.
We have a motion made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Gary Wilmore has a second. So all in favor of the consent agenda for the Academic and Student Affairs Committee, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. So we're ready for the Audit and Business Committee report and recommendations. Teresa is not here, so I will take care, well, I'll ask, since I'm chairing, Trudy, I'll ask you to, or, no, I'm sorry, Perna, since you're on the committee, to make the motions associated with the Audit and Business Committee report. First up, we have the consent agenda, which had 2 items, the tenure and promotion recommendations and the President's emeritus contracts.
I propose to approve.
The consent agenda,
Upon the committee's recommendation, I move the board approve all the items on the Audit and Business Committee's consent agenda.
so we have a motion made. Do we have a second? A second. Any other comments? So all in favor of the Audit and Business Committee consent agenda approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. So now we have the regular agenda. And again, Perna, if you'll help us out as we go through, because all of this, I think, is now associated with the Audit and Business Committee.
Yep.
First item up is Policy 205, Faculty Tenure. And we had quite a lengthy discussion on it this morning. So if you want to go ahead and make a motion, I will ask if there's any further comments once it's on the table.
Upon the committee's recommendation, I move the board approve policy 205, faculty tenure.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any further comment for the full board since we're out of committee on this?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm not sure I understand completely what happens if a faculty member has their tenure relinquished, revoked, or removed. Do they still retain their being a faculty member? Are they let go? I don't understand exactly what that means.
I think policy would allow any of those opportunities. I think it largely depend on the circumstances of removal of tenure. It could be by mutual consent that the individual remain employed under some other provision. More often than not, they probably would not be have continuing employment.
And
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I made some comments in the committee meeting earlier, and since I wasn't a committee member, couldn't really take action on that. But I intend, if we approve this, and I hope we will approve this motion, I intend to ask for the president to direct kind of a review of this policy going forward and maybe be a little clearer about
Yeah.
some of the things that, for example, one that Barry just raised and others that we talked about this morning. So just kind of procedurally let people know I intend to raise that question, I believe, after we take this vote, because I think we need to get this policy in place.
I think that's fair. So we'll take this motion up first. So any other comments on the current tenure policy? I mean, personally, as I said before, I'm not thrilled with this policy completely, but I think it's necessary at this time to approve it and have it in place because right now we have none. And this gives the provost a chance and the university a chance to develop a Tennessee Tennessee Tech policy, which is what we need. So, all in favor of this motion of approving policy 205, faculty tenure, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
So,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could then just raise the comment that I made earlier today, which is I found this policy to be cumbersome. And I want to be careful because a lot of people, I think, worked very hard to take what was the TBR tenure policy, make it more appropriate for Tennessee Tech, but they didn't start from scratch. And I think it's probably time we have a new provost, we have a new board, and I think it's time to stop and be a little clearer about what we're really wanting tenure to mean, what we want people to achieve to get to tenure, and just be a little less cumbersome in the administration of the policy. And so in order to do that, I'm going to propose that we actually ask the president to have to have a review of what's now our existing 205 policy, and to perhaps revise or rewrite that policy to clarify some things and perhaps end up with 2 policies, one for the recognition of or for attaining tenure and one for how to maintain tenure and what to do if something goes off the rails and we have to terminate tenure or terminate the person. So if you'll entertain my motion, Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion and you can have a discussion.
I'll second it.
Okay,
Well, let me make a very specific motion.
We
though.
have a motion made and seconded. Can you do it in 20 words or less?
No is the answer. Let's try, because it's not 20 words or less, but don't count, because don't ever count words with me, Barbara, because you'll run out of fingers real fast. I move the board direct the president to revise policy 205 to clarify expectations and procedures for attaining tenure and to create a second policy that addresses maintaining tenure.
Okay, that's a succinct motion. You still second?
I do.
So I have the motion made and seconded. Before I call the question, I have one question. And I didn't want to amend the motion, but what schedule, when can you do this? And can you give us, what I would like to ask is maybe by the December board meeting, can you give us a draft so that this doesn't linger and drag? And
Yeah, we can do that. For this to go through a full cycle of university governance and approvals would take us a little bit longer than that, but there's no reason, a select committee can't come up with a draft by the December board meeting.
But I also don't think we ought to short circuit university policy, or university procedures rather, on this either. If it needs more time to be reviewed, perhaps
So in December, we won't have any actionable item, but you'll give us an update, Dr. Bruce.
Update, that's a good idea, yeah.
Thank you
I
very
think
much.
that's good for us to have a preview of it,
Yes.
because if we have any directive guidance on it, it'd be better for you to take that before you take it through your due process.
That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point.
That's the point.
I like the idea of moving through the university structure, though, faculty senate and the academic. And so, yeah, that's
Absolutely.
Has to be done that
Yeah.
way.
Not-
Has to be done that way.
No, nothing implied that it wouldn't be.
First, and then go to that.
So we have a motion made and seconded.
I have one comment I want to add. If indeed we're going to aspire to be this distinctive university, unlike any other on the face of the earth, we have to do things different than most universities do them. And tenure does not stand alone. Tenure is not laid aside and said it doesn't apply there, just like every other part of this university. So I want to be sure that Trudy's message and motion does not get watered down when it goes through the faculty senate or any other part of the school, because it's important that the good faculty members we have be recognized and appreciated and separated from those that are not good.
I have every confidence in Dr. Bruce and Dr. Oldham and their direction on this, and I have every confidence that the faculty will support a strong policy for tenure. I just think this one, I think they were worried, and we've all done this. You start with something that's big and bulky, and you try to make it right. But when you're starting with kind of something that isn't perfect to start with, it's just a lot harder. I really just think this is going to be a much better thing, and I actually think it's going to be something we're going to find to be stronger, Johnny, for the university.
Okay.
I absolutely agree with that, and I think it will be supported by most of the faculty because we have really talented
That's
faculty
exactly my
members.
belief, is I think the faculty will support strong requirements for tenure because they want their tenure to be meaningful.
it's already there, but I understand that wanting to make it.
Continued strength in tenure, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All good comments around. And I'm going to go ahead and call the question. And simply for emphasis, we're going to have a roll call vote.
Fleming. Geist.
Aye.
Harper.
Aye.
Rose. Sigardi.
Aye.
Stites.
Aye.
Wilmore.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. I think this is an important thing. I really do. Okay, so item number 3, institutional compensation plan. We've already been through this in the audit committee earlier. Perna, do you have a motion?
Upon the committee's recommendation, I move the board approve the fiscal year 2018/19 institutional compensation proposal.
We have a motion made. Do we have a second? Okay, Dr. Fleming. So I have a motion made and seconded. Any further comment?
Does this motion or the work that was done in the committee include the opportunity for feedback so we understand how the system's being applied and whether it conforms with the board's recommendations and policy?
I believe you instructed the president to do that in the committee meeting, and I think he accepted that.
Okay, so that's a
charge.
part
Is
of,
that right?
that's a part of this.
I don't know that it's part of the motion, but I believe you separately instructed the president to do that.
Okay.
I think that's
Does that
correct.
need any board action at all?
I don't think so. Well, I mean, as,
President Alden, write that down.
no, I think that's fair enough. I mean, it's a good point. So,
Right.
so, but
I think we're good. The president knows what needs to be delivered.
I have no doubt that he knows what to do and how to do it. I just want the world to know that he's acting because this board instructed him to do it.
The minutes will reflect that, right, Ms. Carpenter?
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Then I'm good to go if it's in the minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just want to thank Provost Bruce, too, for the advanced communication to the university community about the compensation plan, because that was very helpful for people to understand, and so appreciate it.
I think that's good feedback. Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion made and seconded. All in favor of approving the 2018-19 institutional compensation plan, please give us a roll call vote.
Fleming. Geist.
Aye.
Harper.
Aye.
Rose. Sigardi.
Aye.
Stites.
Aye.
Wilmore.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. So we're ready for item number 4, the campus master plan amendment. We just went through this, seems like not that long ago. Perna, you want to go ahead and continue with the motion?
Upon the committee's recommendation, I move the board approve the campus master plan amendment.
And do we have a second? We have a second from Radon. So we have a motion made and seconded, and just to remember, this really is just simply to add the engineering building to the current master plan, and I guess when it becomes more under the board's purview, it would be edited again at some point with the additional.
Yes, we'll do a full update of the master plan later this next year.
Okay. So a motion made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So we're ready for item number 5, the capital budget. Perna, if you want to go ahead with the motion.
Upon the committee's recommendation, I move the board approve the fiscal year 2018-19 disclosed project and fiscal year 2019-20 capital budget request.
Okay, we have a motion made. Do we have a second? We have a second from Dr. Fleming. Just any other comments? Do we remember what we're voting on?
No.
Don't say that. Of course we care. All right. We have, motion has been made and seconded. We have a roll call vote for the capital budget.
Fleming. Geist.
Aye.
Harper.
Aye.
Rose. Sigardi.
Aye.
Stites. Wilmore.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay, we have items number 6 and 7, and just to be sure, I'm going to change the order. I'm going to take item number 7, mandatory and maintenance and mandatory fees, just because we can address that before it's a proposed budget. Maybe it doesn't matter that much, but it feels better.
Yep.
So, Perna, if you would go ahead with maintenance and mandatory fees.
Upon the committee's recommendation, I move the board approve the recommended fiscal year 2018-19 maintenance and mandatory fees.
Okay, we have a motion made. Do we have a second? We have a motion made and seconded. Any
I
other
just have a
comments?
question. I apologize. Earlier, I had to step out for a bit for some work-related stuff I had to do. And y'all might have gone over this, but I understand there are tuition increases. We talked about 2.66%. Where is that included in what we're voting on now? Because I'm not familiar with where it's at.
Dr. Oldham, you want?
I believe it's in the motion that's on the table right now, the maintenance and mandatory fees for this
Okay.
coming year.
I know y'all went through this ad nauseum, I'm sure, but I think for the record, from where I sit, I just would like to make it clear that I don't think anybody on this board, me included, takes lightly increasing fees for our students for any reason whatsoever. And I know I've asked many questions, I've looked at the details, because I'm not in favor of increasing 2-year subsequent fees at all. But the position where the university is now, and all the facts that come into play with funding from the state and what we have here and all the responsibilities we have, we want to increase salaries for our faculty, all these things combined, I don't see any other way around it. And I've tried to find a way around it, but I don't see it. And maybe y'all stated all that very clearly and concisely, but I don't see it. So with that said, I just say that for the record that we don't want to increase.
I think it's very
Barry,
important.
I think you
I
made a
think-
good point, and I'm actually quite pleased that although the state's given us leeway for 3% increase, we didn't go that far.
Yeah,
As someone who pays that bill, I concur.
yeah.
Yeah, as somebody else who pays that bill, I do too.
And even with that 2.66% increase, I mean, the next item, which again, I switched them around, the proposed budget, our proposed budget is behind. And so
Right.
I'm glad we just didn't pass that on to
Right.
the student, and they're gonna have to work on that proposed budget just to get that right.
Right.
So, I don't know, I think that it's very important to state, to the university, from the board, that we don't wanna see this continually increasing, but we understand now.
And I know the president, he made in his statements here that he is working to get these things down. He himself would love to see no increase in these fees, but where the university is now, with everything combined, there is no other way to go. So, anyway, with that said.
I think the other thing was, and you weren't able to see this, but we are still significantly less than UT Knoxville and University of Memphis, and I forget there was maybe one other that we are, thousands of dollars less. And so that to me kind of made me feel better as well.
It did me too, except that, was it UT Memphis is at 0, right? And
Well,
UT
they're not raising their tuition, but because they're already more expensive than
Yes,
we are.
fair enough.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Okay. With the comments? So, again, maintenance and mandatory fees, approval of them as presented. Motion's been made and seconded. We need a roll call vote.
Fleming. Geist.
Aye.
Harper.
Aye.
Rose. Sigardi.
Aye.
Stites.
Aye.
Wilmore.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Motion carries unanimously. So, we are ready for, again, item number 6. It's fiscal year 2017-18 estimated and fiscal year 2018-19 proposed budgets. Do we have a motion, Vernon?
Upon the committee's recommendation, I move the board approve the fiscal year 2017-18 estimated budget and the fiscal year 2018-19 proposed budgets.
We have a motion made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Guys. So we have a motion made and second. Any other comment on the proposed budget? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Roll call vote, please.
Fleming. Geist.
Aye.
Harper.
Aye.
Rose. Sigardi.
Aye.
Stites.
Aye.
Wilmore.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. So we are ready for the Master of Science in Nursing mandatory fees. And Melissa, this is your area. Would you like to make that motion?
Upon the committee's recommendation, I move the board to approve the recommended Master of Science in Nursing non-mandatory fees.
So we have a motion made. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. Any other comments on that?
I don't know if it just needs to be said in the full board, but in case people are wondering. This is to support the moving of the MSN program to be it will be fully a Tennessee Tech program. And if history is the judge for this, it will be a revenue generating program.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. So, any other comments? So we'll call the question. Roll call vote. Okay.
Fleming. Geist.
Aye.
Harper.
Aye.
Rose. Sigardi.
Aye.
Stites. Wilmore.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Motion has Passed unanimously. Thank you. So we are at the point of simply announcing the next board meeting, and it has been moved from September 13th to September 18th. We had a scheduling conflict, and we also picked a date there that coincided with the president's evaluation process. I don't know of any other business that needs to be brought up. One last, very last point for the day is that I think we need to wish Dr. Bruce a happy birthday today.
Yes.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm not going to ask you how old you are, so we'll stop. And following the meeting, we will have a 30-minute reception for audience members and board members here, I guess in the rotunda in the hallway here. Thank you all very much. I know the meeting this afternoon went fairly quickly, but we did the hard work this morning, and I'm glad all the board members were here for that purpose. So, Dr. Oldham?
I don't know if you want to mention or not, Trustee Van Hooser was unable to be with us today because of the health of her mother, so please remember that family in your thoughts, but hope everything's well there.
Thank you very much. Trustee Rose, thank you for joining us today. I hope it was a good first day. The meeting is adjourned.
Put it on my calendar
Thank you.
right now.
Yeah, me too. That's what exactly, because